to create these two curved lines. We're going to put two bands through this cutting board following these lines. So we've used the templates to draw where we want the lines to be. We have our jig with our curve on it clamped to our cutting board. We're backed off a little bit from our line because we're going to use the router with this bit in it. This fixed bearing or fixed plate will follow our curve, and then this cutter will cut a slot in the wood here, the width of the cutter. So I've got this guy clamped down, and I've got the piece itself clamped to the workbench so nothing can move. My routers are ready to go. I just have to follow that guide there along the edge of my plank. So we have our groove cut, worked out great, and now we want to finish splitting this piece in half. So we're going to follow this cut or this slot on the bandsaw and split them in half. And if you don't have a bandsaw, you could do it with the jigsaw. You just can't really do it on the table saw unless you're doing a straight cut. If you're just doing a straight cut with the band down it, then you can just split it in half on the table saw and glue a band in between two pieces. Now that we have these cuts done on the bandsaw, you can see I've left there's a little bit of material there from our original cut line. We're going to remove that material now, go across the cutted chop there to the shaper, and we're going to follow this, our first router blade cut. We're going to use that as our guide for the bearing on the shaper bit, and that guide is going to follow that and trim this portion here, which is left a little proud from the bandsaw, off flush with this. Do that on both pieces, and that's why in the bandsaw I try to get the bandsaw cut as close to this face as possible, but still leaving some meat so the bearing can clean it up. You don't want to take any of this face out, but you don't want to leave too much material here either, because it'll just be that much more work for the shaper and more chance of something tearing. Go off to the shaper. Okay, so yeah, just taking this guy out of the plan. I'm not too worried about any of the glue or spillage on the top here to the bottom, so I can have one face to run it through the planer. And that's come out pretty well. It's nice and flush. I'll use this. It's pretty sharp. Use a bit of a tip. we go, we'll clean it up just a little bit more to get the bottom smooth. That's nice and flush. And then we can run it through the planer with this face down to clean up the that top edge. So we might, once we get the top edge cleaned up, we might flip it and run it one pass on this side too before we do the next band. We'll just we won't finish it on this bit because that might pull that tear it out. We'll switch the bit to the top end, turn it over and run it that way so that between that last bit this that way. So these have been run through the planer. We've cleaned up where the bands were sticking up high, and then also just took a little bit off both sides, clean everything up, and then after that we just ran it through the drum sander just to take off the mill marks. So our next step now that they're pretty cleaned up is we're going to rip the sides down just to get rid of any clamp marks or any, there's one here, there's a mark from a little blade mark from the last time it was ripped. We'll clean that up and then we'll cross cut them over there to the length that we want. After that we'll round over the corners here on the other belt sander and then finish sanding and finishing. So we're going to use this table saw to rip them.
We've ran it over with 120 grit, just on this sander. Now we're just hand sanding the edges with 150 grit, along with the curved over lines. The important thing here is just to make sure that you work with the grain of the wood. Like that only gets difficult when you're doing this edge, because you don't really want to work like this against it, because then you'll scratch up the wood. So you just need to round it over like this. Again, only on this grain. Like on this edge, you can just fully run it. This is nice. Once this is done with the 150, we'll run it over one more time with the 150 grit, and then it'll be those will be ready to be stained.
Gave it one coat of the oil. This is the oil we used. Any edible oil, I guess maybe, except I don't want to use olive oil or something that'll go rancid. We're using this raw linseed oil from Allback. We put the oil on and then let the oil soak in, and if there's any oil still wet, then we wipe that off and then let it dry out a bit. And now we're adding some wax, and the wax we're using, again, there's lots of different waxes. We're using this one, You just put a layer of the wax on in a circular motion, and we'll let that again dry or cure out for 20 minutes or half an hour, and then come back with a clean rag and buff them. So yeah, they're all looking pretty lovely.